Hey guys, Mila Clark-Buckley, the Hangry Woman here, and today we're going to be talking about how to get your Freestyle Libre CGM to stick on to your skin and hang on for that whole 14 days. If you're new here, my name is Mila. I make videos about diabetes. I myself have latent autoimmune diabetes in adults, or a slow progressing form of type 1 diabetes, and I'm just always around here making videos about diabetes and life with diabetes, and hopefully opening up a conversation where people can feel less ashamed about living with it and know that there are more people just like them out in the world. So if you like videos like that, or you want to watch videos like that, please do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I would appreciate it so much. It would make my heart so happy, and it's just nice to get to know other people who are going through the same things. I think that that is so valuable, especially when you feel so isolated in a life with diabetes. All right, so I'm gonna give you some quick tips about helping your Freestyle Libre to stay on. I myself often have that issue where, like, close to the end of the 14 days after I've like showered a lot, and I have, hopefully showered every day, not just a lot, like showered every day. Like toward the end of the 14 days, or like I'm sweating. I live in Houston, Texas. It's really hot. Sometimes that Freestyle Libre sensor will start to kind of peel up around the corners, or it can kind of like start to come off. So I have different methods of being able to let it last longer, and I wanted to share them with you in hopes that it can help you with getting your sensor to stay on longer. I will leave some links to products down below that you can get that have tended to help me like really get that sensor to stick to my skin and stick on for that whole 14 days. And then, like, if it does appear to kind of be peeling off a little bit, some options to really help it stick on and stay on. Okay, so first up, if you don't want to put like anything over your Freestyle Libre and you want to leave it kind of as is, I like to use skin tack. And so skin tack is like a sticky kind of formula that you rub on clean skin, and then you can put your sensor right on top of the skin tack, and it's going to help the adhesive that's already on the Freestyle Libre to adhere to your skin even further. I think that it's really great to have skin tack because it's just a little extra stickiness that'll get it to grip onto your skin a little more. And it's easy to wash off and stuff after the end of the 14 days. So typically, like, you do get a little bit of residue when you remove your sensor. I go ahead and just put like oil, like rub baby oil on it, and then keep rubbing it in a circular motion with a cotton pad or a rag. And once I do that, it, like, all that residue comes off. So the skin tack is really good for that. Like extra stickiness that I tend to need sometimes after a pretty long week, and you can reapply it underneath the adhesive when you need to. So skin tack is a really good option. It's relatively affordable, and you can use it for a while before you run out and you need to get more. I think one thing people forget is that you also need to like actually put the sensor on correctly. So you need to wipe your arm with an alcohol swab. You need to let it dry completely before you stick your sensor on. And then once you have your sensor on, and I guess I can show you, I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt today, but like, it's really important that once your sensor is on, and see, I don't have anything on it to keep it sticky, but that you go around with your finger kind of like this to make sure that the adhesive is all on your skin and that no parts are peeling up. If you don't do that part, I mean, you'll end up with like pieces of it peeling up, which increase the likelihood of it falling off. So I tend to make sure that I do that just like nice little, like, show you with my hand, that nice little like roundabout motion on the sensor adhesive so that it actually stays. And then I make sure it's applied to clean, dry skin every single time so that I know for sure it's going to grip onto my skin appropriately and stay there. And I tend to not actually like knock off sensors that much or have issues with adhesive because I'm like really careful about my application when I do it every 2 weeks. So I think that's really important, is to make sure that you're actually applying it correctly, because if not, then you'll get kind of that peel up and eventually it'll kind of want to peel off. Product wise, diabetes patches can also be really helpful. There are tons, and I will leave them in links down below, but there's like Not a Patch, there's D Patch. There's so many that work with both CGMs, it's not really all CGMs, but with the main ones, Dexcom and Freestyle Libre. And so you can use those as patches to kind of keep it on and keep it on your skin. They are pretty wide patches. They're maybe about like this big. They go over the sensor and then some, but you can put it on over the sensor, kind of like, you know, smooth out. It's like Band-Aid material, smooth it out over your skin. And then once you do that, your like actual sensor will stay on a little longer. You're not at as much risk for like knocking it off or for it like to come off when you sleep, usually because those patches are so big and then they adhere to your skin. So those are another good option if you find that your sensors are falling off before the 14 days. And they're really helpful, and also, you know, come in different colors and different sizes and stuff like that. So you can find like what's going to work best for you and what's right for you. I would say another thing I do is I give it a few seconds during the application before I pull the actual applicator off. So instead of like, you know, you push it down on your skin, the cannula goes in, and then pulling it off immediately, I kind of let it sit there for like 20 or 30 seconds just to make sure it's actually like away from the applicator. And when I pull the applicator off, it doesn't like pull it with it. And then I do kind of like that roundabout thing. So just giving it a second to like actually like meld with the warmth of your skin so that it sticks, I think is really important and also helps it. One other thing I do is that when I take a shower, I don't necessarily like avoid my sensor because you don't need to do that. Like it's okay if it gets wet, but I try not to saturate it with soap or with water. And so if I'm washing my arm, I kind of like go over that section lightly, and then, you know, I can kind of like scrub everywhere else, but I don't like scrub that area of my arm where the sensor is. I just kind of like brush over it lightly, just make sure that I got like lathered a little bit. And I think that that tends to help also. I don't saturate it in water. So when I am in the shower, I don't have like my arm with my Freestyle directly in water that whole time. I kind of like try and turn, you know, depending on whether I'm wearing it on my left or right arm, I kind of like turn in the shower to have it avoid all of that water. But obviously like you have to rinse your body and rinse your arms and stuff. But I just try to do that as little as possible so that the adhesive doesn't weaken on the Freestyle Libre and then, you know, it ends up falling off. So I think that that is something that also helps me a lot. And then the last thing is that, and this one is really hard because you sleep how you sleep, and that has like, I don't know, that part, it's just been really hard for me. But one thing that I also do, and probably the last tip that I'll give, is that I tend to not sleep on the arm that my Freestyle Libre is on. One, because of compression lows. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but sometimes if your arm is compressed for a long period of time, it can give you false readings. This has happened to me before a few times. Like my glucose meter has said that I've been at like a 50, and I'm like, I feel fine. Like I don't feel like I'm there. And then I go test my blood sugar and it's like not near a 50 at all. It's like much higher than that. So I tend to not sleep on the arm that my Freestyle Libre is on, but I think that that also helps adhesive wise, just because when you're laying on your side, on the side that your actual sensor is on, sometimes like it can put pressure on your arm that makes the adhesive peel away, and then, you know, you're in that spot where you're trying to figure out how to get your sensor to stay on. I also sleep like a crazy person. My husband can tell you I toss and turn all night. Sometimes I sleep on my back. Sometimes I sleep on my stomach. Sometimes on my side. There's like no rhyme or reason to how I sleep. So it is really helpful for me to make sure that I am avoiding like laying on my sensor, so I'm not putting a bunch of pressure on my arm and then, you know, peeling it up. But otherwise, I actually tend to have a harder time at the end of the 14 days taking it off. It takes a lot for me to have to peel it off. So I think that these things work really well, and they end up working for me as far as keeping my sensor on. So that's it for this video, guys. Like I said, I have left some products down in the description below. And then if you have any tips about how you keep your sensor on, please do leave them down in the comments. I feel like I always say this, but you guys leave the best comments. You have great perspective. You probably do things differently than I do. And so it's really nice to have your insight and to be able to have people read it in the comments and see it and then get different ideas about what they can do. So that's it for this video. I am so glad that you guys stuck around to watch it. I hope it was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Take care of yourselves.